Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sharing the Word. It is August 29th, 2025, and this is the space where we are currently reading Resurrection, which is a channeled book through Paul Selig. And we meet here each week to discuss the book together. And no matter how slowly we move through, each week is a delicious experience. So, to start us off today, I am going to share an 8.5 minute channeling. And then after that, we'll turn it over to Sandra.
Now, some of you before us are very dedicated students. You read the text we author. You read the text we author. You attend the classes we teach. You attend the classes we teach. But you demand to be seen. But you demand to be seen as a student of the work, as a student of the work, as the one who attends the classes, as the one who attends the classes. We wish you to be seen. We wish you to be seen beyond any codification, beyond any codification, any way of knowing self, any way of knowing the self to be sort of act through an external act. I am the one who takes the pictures, who takes the pictures, who puts them in a book, who puts them in a book, who looks at my history, who looks at my history, admires how I appeared, admires how I appeared on that evening long ago. We see you beyond these things. We see you beyond these things, beyond any act, singular or collective, We see you as the source. We see you as the source. Come as the one named John. Come as the one named John. Come as the one named Alice. Come as the one named Alice. Come as the one named Fred. Come as the one named Fred. We understand the ideas of Fred and Alice. We understand the ideas of Fred and Alice, the histories that they incurred, the histories that they have incurred, the challenges that they have faced, but we know them beyond them. But we know them beyond them, and we seek to know ourselves, and we seek you to know yourselves beyond these old ideas, They were useful in a way. But the time has come to shed the skin. And shedding a skin is what is occurring today. And shedding a skin is what is occurring today. A release of an idea, of what could be, based upon what was, and the reclamation of what is only true, of what is only true. Now, when we sit before you, when we dictate through Paul, we have several things we require. We require him to be in a position. We require him to be in a position where he can clearly hear. We require a room with some quiet. We require the students, and we require the students who will participate in this act, because without your presence, we are singing into a void. We are singing into a void. It is you in some ways that carries the message forth, It is you in some ways. It is you in some ways that becomes the vehicle of teaching, that become the vehicle of the teaching. It is you in some ways, and it is you in some ways, once forgetting who you are, once forgetting who you think you are, become who you have always been. He interrupts the teaching. Well, you just said you didn't want them to be students. Well, you just said you didn't want them to be students of the text, or know through those emblems, or to know themselves through those emblems. That's a very different idea. In order for this work to occur, there must be somebody receiving. There must be someone in receipt of the transmission. The transmission larger than you, and the transmission is larger than you. You, Paul, singularly. You, Paul, singularly, and you, any of you, and you, any of you, in your idea of a singular self, and your idea of a singular self. In some ways, you are being bathed. In some ways, you are being bathed in this transition. Washed new in this transition. Washed anew in this transition. And the shedding of the skin, and the shedding of the skin is what happens. When the field has been altered, in a layer that was required, and a layer that was required to demand separation, has been moved. Underline the word has been. Underline the words has been moved. Indeed it has. But you're going to have to reckon with this, or comprehend what it means, or comprehend what it means. In some ways, what is occurring in the delineation is that the delineation between you and the the idea of any other is dismantling, and this occurs in stages, and this occurs in stages. When a snake sheds its skin, it comes off in pieces, and then all at once, and then all at once. When a human being releases the need, to demand herself to be separate, from her fellows, from her source, the body itself moves into a level of agreement, to a new possibility, in the subtle bodies, and the subtle bodies embrace the new, and once the new is present, embraced by the subtle bodies, embraced by the subtle bodies, the crown and the systems that behold them, you understand yourselves in presence. In other words, in presence, underline the words in presence, the great almighty, in presence of the great almighty divine, whatever you wish to call it. You understand the idea? You move into presence. Behold is to witness the presence, I make all things new. The I that speaks this claim, is the one that knows the truth, not the one who was left behind in school, who didn't have a good marriage, whose children don't appreciate them. The I that claims this, is the triumphant I, the eternal I, the I that has come, to be sung, for all to hear, It is this I that operates in reclamation, and claims the landscape before you, in the high octave, that it resides in, the physical self. The physical self has been shifted, and lifted to move into alignment, with these claims, and the announcement of it, I have come, is what puts this in order, the realization of the claim. The realization of the claim, which as we said comes in stages, begins with the claim, behold, I make all things new, because of what is new, because it is what is new that is reclaimed, that is reclaimed, and you bear witness to, and what you're bearing witness to, and what you are bearing witness to can be called by any name you wish, but indeed it's the one note sung, it is the one note sung. You may call it God, however the idea of God, as we have stated prior, has been diminished by you, or utilized by you, in very peculiar ways, So later in the text, we will take you to the God, that exists beyond God, or beyond the idea of God, that you've utilized thus far, the ones we see before us, the ones who hear these words, the ones who hear these words become a conduit for this teaching, not through reiterating the language, or standing on a street corner, but through a level of embodiment, with the tone that you are, the subtle bodies sung anew, the crown being opened, to be replenished again and again by source, is the alignment, of the one who knows who she is, what she is, and how she serves, her reliance is not on the external, as the prior self is known, but on the unknown, on the unseen, which has become seen, because it is seen, before her, in the wonder and the witness, and the witness of the divine that has chosen to show itself, through her alignment,
Well, there we go. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Sandra. Good morning.
Thank you, Donna. Hello, good morning, everyone. And as we gather here in love, to be the love that we are, as Richard always tells us, the love that we are in truth. It's a feeling of comfort to me to be with you. And I'm wondering if anyone has any reactions to this particular channeling that we just heard. Izzy, good morning, sweetie.
Right, sweetheart. Um, it seems like with this shift, there's been an actual healing of the nervous system. And 2 months ago, when I tried to listen to Paul Selig, I just couldn't do it. The rate at which he talks, and now I was completely settled in with it. And it was lovely. Something else I'm noticing is in the last couple of weeks, two of my tenants have given notice to leave, and under normal circumstances, I'd just be falling apart on screaming on the floor with stress. And right now I'm just going, wow, this is really interesting. Because it never happens that I have two out of my three giving notice at this time. I've been doing this for 35 years. So there's something that's been shifted in the nervous system seemingly overnight. And it can only be grace, it can only be love. And it's very sweet. Thank you.
It is, and I feel it coming from you. I don't know if others do. I just feel that change.
Mm.
Everything made new.
Yes. Oh, isn't that a beautiful?
Everything made new. I have come, making all things new. It's just that is repeated over and over and over, it seems, through the text, through the words we hear. And it's like I get it on a visceral level. I feel it.
Yes. Yes. The world looks completely different, and it looks new, and you can be talking to somebody and you'll kind of just be floating along with them, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of hit with the beauty of who they are and what they're saying. Oh my God, it's the best.
Yes. Rana.
Good morning. There were a couple things that really struck me from the video. The pointing that we carry the transmission. We're here and we're listening. And my legs are on tingles. And that we get the opportunity for carryover, right? We carry this embodiment with us. It's not necessarily transmitting words to anybody that we interact with, but the embodiment of what is being spoken is carried with us. So I really enjoyed that pointing. The other one was the idea of you and another is dismantling, and his assurance that this comes in stages, and my understanding not to let the intellectual mind now try to figure out what stage I'm in or what the stages look like. So there was that letting go of that and just taking the statement, the idea of you and another is dismantling, and just sitting with that. So delicious. And I did want to just take a quick moment and share an experience I had this week. This week we, at one point, I think it was during coffee, Pat mentioned about perception deception, the Nova show. And if you don't know, I worked there at Nova. And I actually lost that job due to my antics earlier, wink, wink. And what happened was, as I started Googling to find out who were the people in the background that produced that particular show. And I was able to sit with some really strong emotion that came up. Little guilt, little shame, even though intellectually I know that's okay. It's past. I wasn't supposed to be a TV producer, right? I'm supposed to be what I am right now. And I can list all those things. You're all's friend, Kylie's mom, all these things. But it was interesting. There were two people that were on that credit list that I worked with personally. And when I worked with them, they were kind of at the same like associate level that I was too, assistant. One's the executive director of the series now, and the other is like the production coordinator. It's like the two highest, places on the totem pole. And I let that run over me too, because the little self wanted to say, see, if you had done the right thing, you would have been executive producer. And I just wanted to share that with the group because what occurred to me as I was doing that, Pat, thank you, was the statement, behold, I make all things new. And so I sat with those feelings and those emotions and whatever came up, reclaiming. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know if anything's going to happen. And I don't know the next time that Nova's like mentioned that my stomach won't turn. But I feel like this is like a letting go, you know, and looking at this Rana that was identified as that person is long, that identification is long gone, long gone. But it's something I really was identified with for a long time and held on to it as a place of guilt. And so I'm grateful to be able to share that with you, and thank you for a place to feel that experience.
Wow, thank you, Rana. Thank you so much. Early in the clip that we listened to, the guides used the metaphor of the snake shedding its skin and how it's a process and it happens over and over again. I mean, they started right out with identity, like, we don't know you as, what did he call it, Fred and Jane and whatever. And it's all about identity. And that identity, like the one that I have had and continue in some ways, the roles that I played, really likes to hold on and be revisited. Good morning, Amy. I'm glad your hand is raised.
Oh, thank you. Oh gosh, Rana. Whoa, that was a big share. Um, that was a big share. Thank you so much for that. What a high wall you jumped over in that, because you came so close to this, fame and fortune in this world. But in order to have done that, you would have had to abandon your responsibility, not responsibility, the opportunity to be the mother, the full mother to Kylie, to be the full partner, not even a mother, the partner with her as she is in this world and moving through this world. And wow, wow.
Can I interject? I met her father 3 weeks after I lost that job.
Yeah. So if you had stayed on that track, you would have achieved this worldly thing, but you would have missed out on something else that and the worldly thing, once you leave the body, it's gone, right? But the thing that you've done with Kylie and your family, that transcends time and all things. It's so it's so, anyway, thank you for sharing that. I love it. What I wanted to say briefly was, I love that he said in later texts or transmissions, we're going to really show you what God is. I really liked that. And that really has me interested. and what he's going to say. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, so we are reading this book together. And we're in chapter 1 called Preparation. And we are on page 27 at the very bottom. And I'd like to know who would like to read today, and keep your hand raised until I say your name, because I can't write that fast. Okay, Libby, Izzy, Amy, Patricia. Okay, that's a lot of good readers. Thank you. So Libby, the very last line on page 27 starts with now to benefit others.
Now, to benefit others in any way is to comprehend who they truly are. Bless the one on the side of the road, but if the one on the side of the road is hungry, feed the one on the side of the road. That is an act of love. To care for your brother, for your sister, when she cannot care for herself, is an act of love, and you may do this well in complete ignorance of his or her divine nature, or in ignorance of your own. God does not need to be prayed to by name to be understood, and any act of love is God itself acting through you. You do not love. You become as love, and in love you know, and you cherish your brother, and you reclaim by nature of presence that which has been denied by love, has been denied love. This is a teaching of love and recreation. And the choice we offer you now, if you wish to take it, is to say yes to the embodiment of form and field as you can align to it in a choice of love. These are the words you may speak if indeed you wish to. On this night, I choose to align every aspect of myself to the choice to love, to be as love, to express love, and allow the true nature of my being to inform all things to become as love, the divine in action, the word in form and field. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. We will take a pause for Paul. We will teach you more in a bit. Period, period, period. Stop now, please.
Any thoughts on this? Rana.
Well, I believe that paragraph was exactly what Amy was just explaining between Kylie and I. So that is wonderful and prophetic. And I can see the denial of love as it presented itself for a long time in my interaction with her. But the sentence that stands out for me is you do not love, you become as love. That's where love is the verb. Love is the action, it's the movement, it's the flow, it's the whatever. And I love that it points to even if I don't remember what I truly am or what anybody else truly is, that action will come through, as the divine. So good stuff.
Beautifully, beautifully said.
That was exactly the part I was going to comment on. Yeah.
As love. I actually, when I read this the first time, I wrote down a quote from David Hawkins that I loved, and I wrote it right under that little italic paragraph. And he said, we are acting as love. The presence of divinity as self is effortless. And I love that. Like, we don't have to try so hard. If we just are the love that we are in truth and remember that, then it flows, as Rana said, it just flows. It's not like I gotta climb this mountain and be kind to everybody. It's not like that. It's just like ease into it, slip into the water of the bath of love. I think he even said that in the opening, something about washing anew. Like just slip into that warm water and then you become love. You are love. I don't mean you become love. I mean you are love and it's effortless. Okay, next reader is, Patricia.
Thank you. As you were talking, it reminded me of a dream I had last night, which was I was back in New England and I was a much older lady than I am now. And I'm living in this, for some reason, in this lovely cabin somewhere by myself. And people are very kind and helping me, and it all has to do with a piece of art, blah, blah, blah. But the important part, as everyone left, I felt this sinking feeling. And I felt the darkness inside. And I felt this darkness, and it was on the left side of my heart. So I decided that I didn't care what it was. It was like enough analysis. I'm sick of talking about it. Time for action. It's like land the plane, Patricia. And I landed the plane into a pitchfork. And I turned that shit that was the manure. Didn't make any difference what it was. And there was a lightness that occurred. There was this, obviously, when you're turning over manure, there's the gases come forefront, they're released, they don't smell so good, so what? But I think the important part was it didn't matter what it was. The pitchfork as an act of the divine, shall we say, just turn it over. It's another way to say, just let it go, turn it over. This time it was turned over to a pitchfork, which was really a disguise for the divine. I just thought I'd share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Izzy, you're up next for reading the bottom of page 28.
Whatever stands before you is eternity. What stands before you is always ever one thing, the presence of the divine in any form it has taken. And any experience you have in a lifetime must be understood as opportunity to know the divine. Now, when you use the term know the divine, we mean realize, claim the inherent source of all things. We do this without the religious terminology that some of you dislike, but in fact we find useful because we reclaim language as it was initially intended, not as it has been misused by religion. To comprehend that all things are of one source is a universal claim. It is true in every reality you could ever interact with, and in some ways becomes the ship. This awareness that allows you to transform your own reality and integrate those realities that may be higher than you have known thus far. Our teaching through Paul has several more texts before it is complete. When it is complete, we will work through him rather differently. And while we still may dictate books, the texts that we have written in one distilled form will serve as a gateway for those who read and understand and align for generations to come. Now we say generations in an awareness of eternity. Your time and experience of time has a great sense of confusion attached to it. When we say generations, we quite simply mean that this teaching is present in eternity and may be accessed there. While the texts have form, the vibration that is the true teaching exists without the text and may be met by anyone whose intent is to serve and claim the highest chalice to drink from. Do you want me to keep reading?
Well, let's just see if anyone has any comments. Rana.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about in the first paragraph that was read, in the middle, it says, it is, to comprehend that all things are of one source is a universal claim. It is true in every reality you could ever interact with, and in some ways becomes the ship. I'm curious about what that is trying to show me, and curious what you think. What that means. It's the carrier,
Vehicle.
the vehicle.
Vehicle, he uses a lot of metaphors. They use a lot of metaphors. But I took that as, and I'm curious to hear what other people have to say, but in some ways becomes the methodology, this awareness that allows you to transform your own reality. So in my own personal experience, sometimes I'll be in the middle of an emotion or in the middle of a thought, and I'll step back, sink back into the awareness of what's happening. And that's the ship. That's the way.
Right. Yes. Yes. Now I understand. Thank you.
That's how I took it.
Yes.
Someone else, Izzy, did you have your hand raised? Okay, Amy.
I just wanted to say another word might be the lens through which you perceive your reality. Right. So it becomes the ship, the lens, the carrying of the frequency that gets carried forward, right? It could be that, right?
That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah. So this one idea
Yep.
is gonna
Yep. And
carry us up, Okay. Yep. Thank you.
and an idea, everything is an idea. The ego is an idea. So the idea is multidimensional, multifaceted. It is the container of things that are beyond anything that the mind can really hold or grasp.
Yeah, and might I add that it keeps referring to form and field.
Yes.
So it's this integration of everything as the one thing. It's all it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out that sentence, Rana, because I think it's an important one. It's like, I always thought that when I became aware, everything would be like instantaneous, like ding, Cinderella would put her magic wand on me, and ding, I would see everything differently. But that's not what has happened. So it's like we need the ship, we need the process, whatever it is. And it's like for me, it's a continual remembering, a comprehending that all things are one. It's like, because I'm in this form and I'm in this experience, I have to keep coming back to what's true. Richard. You were already unmuted, I mean.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be with you. Love us all. Gracious as always. I perceive the ship as awareness itself. Awareness has everything. I think you said that, Sandra. And the recording of the shedding I found very interesting because I think they were talking about the shedding of the story for each of us. We shed our beliefs and our concepts in order to experience oneness, and the more this is a continuing process. And this density, we will eventually shed our bodies and then become non-physical entities. And we may have a collective like we do in this group with non-physical entities. We become a collective like the guys that are speaking to Paul, through Paul. So what I understood him to say and what we've read so far is what we do now that we've woken up to our true self. How do we then manifest that true self in the form that we're experiencing? In other words, we don't get rid of the form. We don't get rid of the dream. We don't try to get rid of the ego. I thought that Libby's recommendation on the the Aaron Appy interview, the first 15 minutes of that was dynamite. I mean, I would recommend it to anybody because that really resonated with me. I highly recommend it. After that, he gets kind of in the weeds with his book, but the first 15 minutes, I really resonates with what they're saying in this book. That resonates what we're all talking about every time we get together. So I just wanted to share that with us.
Thank you. William.
Well, sort of like what I'm hearing Richard say. I hear the ship. I heard every word is like an empty spoon. It's a tool. And I see that the presence of the divine in any form it takes, whether it's a ship, a word, a story, or whatever. And it's almost whatever that ship that form, it's automatically taking me to the I-ness. So when I think about Izzy, the lightness, lately I've been noticing I, but it's like I is getting cleaner. There's the I am this, I am not that. But as I look at slow down and stop, I am. So it's a different I. And I has so many different forms that I know as me, my, whatevers. But it's this I, and call it love, call it presence, call it. But it's that's what's leading me wherever it is. And I feel that. And when I hear somebody like Izzy or any of us, it's like the load is lighter. It's like the eye gets cleaner. It's like after the shower, we feel pretty clean.
Yeah. It's like the molecules can move through you more easily. I don't know. It's a weird sensation.
It lightens the load.
Yes. Livy.
Hey, everybody. Hey, gum, it's good to be with y'all this morning. You know, what's coming through for me in the 2 pages that we've read so far is just the pointing, continuous pointing of that, you know, you do not love, you become love as love. it's constantly pointing to the fact that I am being lived. It's not me doing anything. It is source doing everything. And, when we use the term know the divine, we mean realize, claim the inherent source of all things. Just the pointing always to everything is that. It's all from the one source. And I love, of course, we do this without the religious terminology that some of you dislike, but in fact, we find useful because we reclaim language as it was initially intended and not as it has been misused by religion. And growing up Southern Baptist with three uncles who were radio evangelists, and the way they treated their families was just atrocious. And which that's just a fun word to say, atrocious. But, just recognizing that it took me decades before I recognized that it was three people who I viewed as hypocritical that kept me from hearing the teachings. I got so wrapped up in the fundamentalism that I'd been presented with and the actions of people that it blocked me from hearing. And so I'm really, really grateful for this. It's all so user friendly, and I can recognize in just the constant pointing of, it's all from the source. I am that and I am not that all at the same time, and so it's just really, really good stuff. And thank you for saying that, Richard, because when this guy first started, I was like, oh my God, this is great. And then it kept on and I went, oh, no, no, no. And so, yeah, but thanks for sharing that, and really, really glad to be here with y'all. This is just awesome.
Thank you. So we were at the bottom of page 29. Now we're on We Serve Through Paul in Different Ways. Amy, you're up for reading.
Okay, I was about to put something in the chat, but I just want to say this for everybody. Before we go, I'm going to put my phone. I've been getting texts from Cindy, who's really appreciating that we're thinking about her. And I will record a word. We can do a word for Cindy that I'll record and send to her before we end. Okay.
That's nice. I like that.
Okay. Super. We serve through Paul in different ways, some of which he is unaware of. But our work on this plane has been consistent prior to the birth of the man before you, and will continue after he is gone. The polarity of experience in a manifest world has been a good teacher, but the time has come to learn in new ways, and our presences in shepherding you to this new way of being is not only an honor, but a gift, because we see you move and claim an inheritance that has always been yours, but has been denied. We understand that the world that you have known will be altered and resung in the true note of God. On this day, we claim that all who hear these words will sing a new song, will claim a new state of being, and lift all that he or she encounters to the true light of love. We thank you each for your presence. Yes, this is in the text.
There's something in this that is a little different than some of the others. It's that sentence, the polarity of experience in a manifest world has been a good teacher. but the time has come to learn in new ways. So it makes me understand or believe that it wasn't like a big accident, all of this, you know, it wasn't like there was something wrong with being unaware of the truth of my being. There was a purpose in it. Do you think that, Amy?
I am
Curious what you think about that.
I'm increasingly reluctant to describe what I think as meaning to anything.
Okay.
I recognize that the egoic mind that wants to know wants there to be meaning because I rest in that and am comforted by that on an egoic level. But the truth is, I do not know.
So what do you think he means by has been a good teacher?
I
You just
think
don't know.
I think of it in terms of what the young man who we listened to, who met the soul that was so refined and so absolutely beautiful and shining, you know. So he loved that. He wanted that because it was absolutely magnificent. So that is a magnificence that I cannot imagine. And so I don't know as a small mind what the meaning for that would be because it's on a scale and a level and that is beyond my understanding. So it's not meaningful in the way that this small mind thinks it's meaningful, but the meaning is beyond my understanding, my knowing.
That's beautiful, really. And I mean, it said that we're going to drink from a higher challenge, a higher chalice. So we'll see. Now, I don't know who had their hand raised first. Was it Richard or William? I think it was.
I think it was Richard.
Richard.
Although I don't know anything, let me start with that. My sense is all the teachings I have listened to over the last 20 years plus would indicate that, number one, we chose to come here. And I believe that in some way, since we know the world is going through this accelerated awakening process, many of us came here to be part of that. And to be a positive influence in that transition of the human race. And but we came in veiled, as Christian Sundberg said beautifully in his interview we listened to a few weeks ago. So we don't remember initially who we are in truth. We have to learn again what we are in truth. And most of us on the spiritual path are learning that and come to know what we are. We are, in fact, love itself. So the question is, most of the teachers say, how do we then manifest this love in the world we came to experience? And that's a challenge for all of us. I think that's what they're talking about. Our original self, as we identified as a body mind, and then as we started to grow consciously, we realized we were not the body mind. We were, in fact, awareness itself and an unconditional love. And then most of us who are awake, I assume everyone in this group is already awake. We know who we are in truth. The issue is, how do we then manifest, embody these teachings, and manifest the love that we are in truth on a moment-to-moment basis? And I think that's what we're here to do. And I think that's what they're referring to.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. William, jump in.
Well, I love hearing what you're saying, But what comes to me now as I listen to it, Livy and Amy saying, I love it that I rely less and less on what I think I know, and I don't need to even pay that much attention to it. I look back at my life and where we were, I see the denial, but it was almost like instead of denying what my father and the religious, it was like I was lost in the form of life and I got lost in it and pursued it and pursued it. So is it denial, pursuit? Doesn't really matter because I see that claim a new state of being and that true light being resung. See, it's like I don't even sing, but I'm being resung and it doesn't matter. So I just love that sense of this I that I mentioned seems to get cleaner and cleaner. It's like a flower blooming, a seedling, and it's in charge. It whatever that it is, I don't know. I just love to come back. I fall back and say, okay, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia.
Oh, William, you stole my line. When I come back to the now and I go, I don't know. I have freedom. I have freedom there. That resonates, huh, William? Good. Yeah, it's like being stuck in that dream I was telling you all about with the pitchfork. Oh my goodness, I make a judgment about the pitchfork that it could be a dangerous item. And then I think about it, oh, I could transform it into a snake and I could shed. And then I think and I think and I think, and it's just the ego trying to make sense of the pitchfork. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I look at the pitchfork and I go, wow, what a beautiful tool. I don't know. So it's this delicious. Thank you all, because that's what's been coming. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I thank you all too. I'm so glad I asked the question what you thought. Izzy.
Yeah, I just love this topic. I don't know. And Amy, what you said is just so spot on. You have less to say anymore. I mean, I thought if I ever made this shift, I'd have so much to say about everything, and I have so much less. I'd have so much more to say, but I have so much less to say right now. I just can't. It's really amazing. And Sandra, like you said, you thought that the fairy would come in and just change everything and make everything totally clear. And it's not like that. It's just simply a new beginning. We just get to begin again with a completely different perspective. And how beautiful, that we get to keep learning and growing and coming into the love that we are. Yeah.
Go ahead, William.
Well, I came across a video by the Calm Warrior and I loved it. It was entitled, When You Know the Secret, Keep Your Mouth Shut. And he talks about that in such a meaningful, oh, wow. That's all I need to say.
Let's see. Amy, you didn't read very much. Could you keep going and start us on day 6? And then we'll get to Patricia.
What you ask for, what you claim, what you say will be from the upper room can be made known to you in form. The upper room you see, a place of great possibility and high awareness, announces you each in your full potential. Underline the word full. The ideas of who you have been or what you have claimed as yourselves are about to be transposed and renegotiated, reknown, and prospered at a higher level of accord. Each of you says yes to this at the cost of an idea, the idea of who you should have been, Rana, or thought you were or expected to be. The triumph of the new is upon you now, and we intend to take you to a place of limitlessness. Now understand limitlessness, the idea of eternity beyond any known barrier, precluding nothing and including all. The true self you see, the divine as who and what you are, knows itself in limitlessness, knows itself in fullness, and can comprehend beyond any veil that you have erected or been in accordance to. The idea of moving beyond the veil, moving beyond the screen to the true self in full flower is the action of this text, and the requirement of it indeed will be made known to you as you say yes, because what is before you, the unknown, yes, but only unknown by the experience of the small self, and unified at a level of agreement as the monad, in agreement to its source, claims all things anew. Whew. Wow. So what I heard in that was that in our limitlessness, we have limited ourselves. We have veiled ourselves for the experience of not knowing what we are. But now it's time to move beyond the veil, beyond even the screen, right? To the full flower of the true self. Wow. I say yes to that, but we don't know what that will be. We don't know. What will that look like? We don't know. We say yes, and then we let go of the training wheel. We let go of the cane. We let go of the guardrail. We just go.
And trust.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when you said that about not knowing. It's just like Lissa, it makes everything lighter to just not know.
I have no clue.
William.
Well, what comes to me is that this last week I was meeting with one of my tennis buddies, and I thought I was maybe helping him see things a little bit more freely or whatever. But what I see is that the paradigm, I've been devouring the telepathy tapes, and what I see this paradigm is that he's my teacher. I see myself in him in a materialistic paradigm. And yes, I've tasted something other than that, but what we just read is like the Course in Miracles, remove the blocks. And his question to me was, well, do you get there? And it caused me to think, well, of course not. You never get there. It's always, always, always. And so I saw that removing the blocks, it's not the consequence or the conclusion or the goal. It's this path of more. And in this sense, it's always more is better in terms of less. It's really the less and less that's better. And I just see both sides of it. And it's just the freedom of allowing the source to keep showing up the way it'll show up through all this form that I've hidden behind. So I love it. I'll keep my mouth shut now for a time.
Please don't. Please don't. Trust the urge to speak. It always helps us. Okay. Well, I'm glad we picked this book, Amy. Patricia, you're up next for reading, please. We're in the middle of page 31.
Okay. And I'm going to need to read and then leave if that's okay. That's okay, that's what I have to do. I've had physical therapy this morning, and I don't know what will
We
happen.
usually end about 10:15. Would you like to read now?
No, I'd actually like to read later so I don't feel rushed.
Okay, that's what I was.
Because the little self needs to get to PT. So would someone be kind enough to read for me?
Yes. Anyone else want to read?
Oh, William.
William. Thank you, William.
Now, in this teaching, we have several edicts. You will be changed. You will be made new. You will be reclaimed in the higher order of the upper room. And you will say yes to the benefit of it through the aspect of self that already knows who she is, what he is, and how she serves. As we teach, as we focus on each of you as of the whole and reunite the aspects of self that have been dismissed or dismembered through fear, through change, through alignment to the old, you may know the self in a new agreement. The divine that has come as you, that is already in unification, will be the support for the aspect of self that is transitioning, climbing the scale to be reconciled, and yes, indeed, resurrected with its source.
Pat, do you have anything you'd like to say? I don't know why that I keep seeing you. No?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I just am going along with it because it makes sense to me, and especially this, yes, indeed, resurrected with its source, because it's it's the title of the book and the theme of the main message here, that we're all doing this together. I mean, I can feel it happening with everyone. This, like a snake, like just letting these old images of ourselves just kind of fall like dropping clothing. It reminded me of when I used to live in a nudist camp, and I lived in a nudist camp for a year, and I was so it was beautiful. It was like Eden. It was like everything had to be clean, everything had to be nice, and nobody had any weapons or signatures of rank on them. Everybody was just naked. And so I would go out to work and I'd come home, drive in the gate, park the car, and between the car and the motorhome where I was living, there was a trail of clothing. So it's like that picture just came to me. Just drop this, drop that, drop this. And yeah, it's nice. And the other image that came while I was reading this was this time that I was living in the Florida Keys, and we had this van that would break down whenever it wanted to, and it broke down on one of the big bridges across the water. And so then also there was some work being done. So we were going to hold up the one lane of traffic. So I had to push the van over to the side. Why? My husband was at the wheel and I was pushing the van. I don't know. But so I'm pushing the van and I see my reflection in the glass on the back, and some guy who was working on the road was also, and I saw his reflection. And I saw all of these images of myself that I'd had up to that point, just kind of like bang, 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 this image, that, and what I thought I was. And then I get these feelings of murder and rape and violence. And I go, what the heck is this? And pull it over to the side and wind up standing on the side of the bridge talking to the policeman, and he said, these are all guys out of the prison.
Mm.
So it's probably, pushing the van with a murderer and rapist, and I'd picked up that image. So it's this, I love this whole idea of not knowing. That was so beautiful, because recently, and I spoke to Helen Hamilton, and I was so completely freaked out at that moment. And she just said, you don't know what's going to happen. And since then, that is the wonderful, I don't know, refuge, island of safety. I don't know, and I don't have to know. I trust that everything is working out to the best possible outcome, and I don't have to do anything but just ride the the current.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
You asked.
I don't know. It was just an instinct to ask you to speak, and I'm so glad I did. Thank you.
Thank you.
William.
Well, I have to say this, Pat, having gone through new marathons weekends myself, and having known what that's like to have step out from behind all that form that I wear, but seeing you on the side of the road, leaving in the nude, pushing that van out of the way, I like.
Hey, you mixed the two stories up. I wasn't naked on the bridge.
I prefer mine. And that's the way I see you anyway, that fearlessness in you, whether no matter what it is, you just show up who you are. And I see that as the self in a new agreement. It is that letting go, letting go, letting go. So that's how I see you. One of the ways I see you.
Okay, we still have a few minutes, so I'm thinking, I really like the sound of your voice, William. Will you keep reading?
Okay. As we teach through Paul, we understand his requirements, his questions, which often supersede our intention for a text that is being written. But we honor the questions because they are in equation with a level of consciousness that is in transition. And to deny these things, to ignore the questions, would be to ignore the aspect of self that is seeking to grow and to comprehend. Wow, I like that.
Keep going.
Well, we say this to each of you now. The idea of who you are, what you have been, who you have chosen to think of the self as, is what is being called forth and reclaimed. And the process that you will each undergo in manifestation is unlike anything you have experienced thus far. The transition we are undergoing with Paul, who moves to flower, the transition you each undergo through adherence to these teachings, is to the aspect of self that is in triumph and already knows itself as reconciled. The belief that you are separate from all things, the source of all things from the one beside you, is what is being released now because humanity has chosen to move beyond the old.
Does that resonate with you?
That's that eye getting cleaner or more present, more present, more present. Now.
So I guess my mind always wants to understand, as you all were saying earlier, but I just love that humanity has chosen to move beyond the old, that there's something happening beyond my comprehension, but it fills me with joy to know that.
And what I got from when you know the secret, keep your mouth shut, because we dilute ourselves away from the present moment in trying to share, describe it, spread it, whatever. But let yourself resonate and incubate and marinate in that present moment. Because my tendency of the form is to go and share it and say, look at me.
Yeah.
And I like being the meanness as opposed to, wow, just being. I am.
Oh, thank you, dear William. I think we're out of time, Rana. Let's see, what time is it? We have 3 minutes. Is there anybody who'd like to add anything?
I believe Amy was going to share a dream.
Okay, let's hear the dream.
I don't know if she feels like it's time for that, but I didn't want to forget that.
You're muted, Amy.
I can do it. I'll be really quick. Essentially, I dream I'm in a hospital with my daughter through marriage, Allie. Her name is Allie. And I forget my purse in a small room. And my purse is my identity. It's my mother, my identity, myself. My purse is all my valuables. I forget them in another part of the hospital. And I try to go back and find them, but I can't. I get lost. I can't find it. Then I go back to the group, which is leaving, and I see Allie and I try to follow her, but she's ahead of me and I can't keep up with her. And Allie is my higher self. And so I see her, she goes down a hallway, she goes out, everything splits, and I can't find where she is. So I go through a kitchen area where I'm offered ice cream to taste, which I love, but I can't taste it. I don't have the money to pay for it because I don't have my purse. And then I go through this movie theater where there are movies on either side of me. And I have no desire to go into any one of the movie theaters, right? And I go through and I come out into an open area, which is like the ground floor of an elevator in a parking garage. And everybody's there and they're all going up. They're all going up to the upper floors. But I can't find Allie. And I can't remember what floor we parked on. And so I stand there and I'm confused. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And that's how I woke up. And so I've been thinking about the dream and losing my identity. I can't find my identity. I go back to look for it and I realize I'm not going to be able to find it. I get all these different things of it. You could go to this movie theater or you could have a taste of this ice cream, but I don't want to do any of them. And still in confusion at the ground floor, being offered the opportunity to go up, but I don't know what floor to go up on. And all of that is still the egoic mind trying to choose, trying to decide who am I and where do I go? And what I'm guided to is just stand there and be in your not knowing. That's what this whole gathering here has said to me. Just stand there in the parking garage and don't know. Ask. Just ask. And I would love to get to the point in my dream, where I could just go, I don't know. Tell me what to do. And so that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Did you want us to send a message to Cindy as well?
I do, but I think we should probably not record it.
Okay.
Yep. So let's just take this moment and thank you, Sandra, for leading us today. Thank you, everyone, for sharing, who shared, and just your presence if you didn't share. And
Thank you
another
for yours too. Thank you for yours too, for leading us today.
sure, another fabulous gathering in the books.
So I would ask, is there anyone that wants to